Okay, kind of a challenging problem. So let's go through this step by step. We are tasked with finding the tangent of u divided by 2, but we're given sine of u this time. So we're going to use a half angle formula, and we're also given that u is in quadrant 4. So here's our half angle formula for tangent. To fill in for this, we're going to need cosine of u to plug in both those places. We're also going to be careful about which quadrant we end up in with u over 2 to tell whether this is going to be positive or negative. So jumping right in on these, what I like to do is just draw a triangle to begin with. We're given sine of u, so that's a trigonometric ratio, even though it doesn't look like one in this case. I'm going to place u in this angle, in this quadrant, and I'm going to set this up as that decimal divided by 1. So I'm going to, we all know from SOHCAHTOA that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to put 0.664 on the opposite side, and I'm going to put 1 on the hypotenuse side. To get cosine that we are going to need over here to plug in cosine of u, we need to find the adjacent side. So to get this cosine of u, let's find the adjacent side by using the Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to label this as side B. So that's going to be 0.664 raised to the second power plus b squared equals 1 squared. Now we could go ahead and evaluate what 0.664 squared is, but for our purposes, I'm going to go ahead and just move it to the other side initially. And to get b by itself, I'm going to apply a square root. So b is equal to an exact version, 1 minus 0.664 squared. Now, if you want to get a decimal, I would highly, highly recommend using a lot of decimal places because this is getting an approximation. All right, so my approximation is going to be 0.7477325,725. All right, that's a lot. It's kind of a pain to write down. We're going to have to copy it down 2 places over here. But then let's go ahead and go back and find cosine. So we just found b, that's that value that I wrote at the bottom. Cosine is the adjacent, 0.7477325,725. Please excuse the bad handwriting. I'm trying to go quick. Over the hypotenuse. Okay, and then the other thing we should also double check here, because I just drew a kind of ambiguous triangle here, nice right triangle. I didn't place it in quadrant 4. We know that u is supposed to be in quadrant 4. So let's double check, should cosine be positive or negative in quadrant 4? So to do this, I use all students take calculus. Because we're in quadrant 4, cosine is going to be positive in quadrant 4. So we'll just leave this as positive. All right, now to evaluate tangent of this half angle. Tangent of this half angle, u divided by 2, is going to be this formula over here, and I'm leaving out for the time being whether it's going to be positive or negative. We're going to double check on that in just a second. So we go 1 minus 0.74 dot dot dot. We'll use this exact same value. Let's put it right here that we got for cosine, and then 1 plus 0.74 dot dot dot. I'm going to fill in all of that as we do this computation. But let's talk about, is u over 2, that's not the same as just u that was in quadrant 4. That's u divided by 2. So let's talk about how do we figure that out. Well, if it's in quadrant 4, that means it's between 270 degrees and 360 degrees. But we aren't looking for simply u, we're looking for u divided by 2. So what we can do is divide each one of these by 2. That's going to put us at 135 degrees is less than u over 2 is less than 180 degrees. As you'll recall from our quadrantal angles, 90 degrees to 180 degrees is the second quadrant. So u divided by 2 is in the second quadrant. That means that only sine is positive in the second quadrant. Therefore, our tangent needs to be negative. All right, I'm going to put all of this in my calculator and get an approximation to go along with this. I got negative 0.3799208. And I did leave off a couple decimal places at the end, but that would be the solution that I would get for tangent of u divided by 2. I hope this helps out as you set this all up. Be careful step by step along the way that you have to be careful about which quadrant the angle or the half angle is going to lie in. Hope this helps. Good luck on half angle formulas.